First of all, thank you so much to everyone who watched my first video on playing Dead by Daylight. I read every comment on that video, and you guys are the best welcoming party I could ever have hoped for. I got all of my questions from that video answered very thoroughly, so thank you for everyone who took the time to do that. And now I'm even more excited to keep going, and hopefully I get to play with some of you guys soon out there. Because that was so fun and it's been kind of going okay, I decided it's finally time for me to dip my toes into the killer waters. I know a lot of people in my first video play killer, so it seems like maybe that's kind of a more common thing to main, maybe. So, I wanted to get the full experience. If you're playing Survivor, you're only really playing half the game. So, I want to experience the whole game. So, I was a little nervous about it, but I've been playing around with it. So, for those that have been playing Killer a long time and maybe don't remember what it's like to learn Killer, I thought I would share my experience for fun. So, here's how it's been going. So, it seemed like the most obvious place to start would be loading with the bots. What could go wrong with that, right? So I did. So I played a couple games with the bots. It helped me get the hang of the mechanics and what the power does and try out the add-ons. But as far as chasing them, they're pretty good, especially if you're a brand new killer. I had a really hard time catching them, to be honest. And, I felt like I was against Skynet out there, and I was starting to think I didn't have that killer inside of me, because no matter how sneaky I felt like I was being, the second I laid eyes on them, they were gone. They were just so far away from me. So I was getting a little bit discouraged about it. But then the hero of this story jumped in. So the hero of this story is Ashy Ket, for starting me off on this adventure. So Ashy took me on as his apprentice on the killer gameplay, because I was talking to him after we were playing some Survivor games about how I wanted to eventually learn killer. And Ashy was like, what? How about now, actually? So so we did it. So we loaded into a custom game, and he showed me some of the kind of training wheel perks of killer, walked me through the basics, and gave me heck of a pep talk. And it was kind of off from there. So shortly after that, I joined my first public match, and that went real bad. But I just loaded up the next one and kept going. So the first game, I think I hit 2 people, and honestly, I was kind of happy with that. I'm like, at least I found them, right? I mean, that's a good start. And, the second game, I think I got a person on the hook. So that was a huge improvement. And, I've just been kind of doing a little bit better and better every game. Not well, but better for sure. I'd say so far, winning as killer definitely feels a lot easier at my MMR compared to winning as Survivor. I'm sure that changes a lot as you start to face people with higher and higher skill levels, but that's what it's looked like so far. So you guys saw the last video. You know how poorly I was playing as a Survivor when I first started. So when I joined the killer queues, I kind of expected to see similar play, which I did, but what I didn't expect was how much different it felt being on the other side. So a lot of these games, I feel like I'm in that Tucker and Dale versus Evil movie. I was just minding my own business, doing chores around the house, and these kids just started killing themselves around me. That's what it feels like. They're just running right at me. I've got one that I'm trying to take the hook. 2 others are in the path of the hook, or somehow I'm chasing 3 survivors at once, like a Scooby-Doo chase. I don't even know how that's happening. So it is really interesting to see the other side of it. There's so many things about playing on the killer side that you just will never understand until you try it. And I think, people were trying to explain that to me, and I get it now. So, the first thing, the first time I finally hit somebody, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. And I go to pick them up, and the wiggling, man, I was not ready for the wiggling. I did not understand. I thought it was more like a visual thing. I was like, I don't think I can get out of this door. So that was interesting. Also, just getting a better understanding of how the scratch marks really work and how effective they are and how big of a tool it is, made me rethink my whole Survivor game about, okay, maybe I should put a little bit more thought into when I'm running, when I'm walking, and I would never have really got any kind of handle on it without playing killer. Now that I've been playing on this side, I still appreciate the friendly killers that can kind of take it down a notch when they're obliterating the other side, so I'm trying to be that kind of killer myself. I realize now that that's actually kind of a skill too. Letting them know that you're friendly, you don't want to hurt them anymore is kind of hard. It's kind of like approaching wildlife, very slowly, no sudden movements when you're trying to approach them, and trying to figure out how to, communicate to someone that, you can't talk to is not easy, but You know, I failed the first time. I scared a Bill real bad. He didn't want anything to do with me. He just wanted out of there, which totally get. But the second Bill and I, we're buddies now, so progress. And one of the most fun games I had actually was, there was a game that we had a DC right away, and the first person killed themselves on hook. So it was just me and 2 other players. So, you know, that's not really that fun for anybody. So one of the survivors just decided to take me on a tour of the map and destroy everything together. And that was so fun. We destroyed every single pallet and every single wall in that whole map. And she knew where they all were. I didn't even know where all the walls and stuff were, but she did. So we went around the whole thing and had a great time while the bot did all the gens. So, you know, that's kind of fun to be on the other side of it and just have a little adventure with Survivor. Highly recommend. I even learned about the inverse of giving hatch at the end of the game, which is survivors giving hooks to the killer at the end, you know, when a game didn't go great for them and they still, I guess, had a fun time or something. I don't know, but like this Laura was real cool to play with, and you know, and she gave me like 1 kill at the end, which was nice. So one of the big surprises that I've found so far in playing Killer is that I actually find it to be less stressful than playing Survivor. Now that's something I never saw coming. So as Survivor, you know, you're working as a team. So if you mess up something, you do something silly, you get down fast or whatever, you know, now you've kind of like let the team down and you might feel a little bit bad about that, or, you know, a little stressed out about it. But as Killer, if you mess up and you do something silly, the worst case scenario is that 4 other people just have a great time and they get the opportunity to go to the gates and crouch at them for 5 minutes even faster than they would otherwise. So there's really like no downside. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of survivors that, you know, choose BMing over life itself, but also there's a lot of really fun ones out there, thankfully, to balance it out. I don't think I've faced one of these bully squads yet, although I'm scared of them, but I have faced some really good single survivors, and, you know, there was one match in particular that I spent probably the entire match blind. I don't even think I saw all of the other survivors because I was blind so much. So, you know, that kind of makes me feel like I need to learn how to do that on the survivor side, because it was probably pretty funny to watch me walking into walls so much. So, you know, maybe that's on my next list of things to learn. For those that are wondering, my Survivor game has gotten a little better. So I have read every comment on the last video and I've implemented a lot of it. So I have Windows and Deja Vu running now on Survivor. So I see everything now, and that helps a lot. I'm not trying to vault over every object in the game. And also, looping is getting a tiny bit better. There's still a lot of room for improvement, but it's getting there very slowly. So thank you so much for all the advice on that last video. It meant so much to me and it helped me so much. I also think it might be fun to learn one of the stealth killers, because I have a really hard time playing against them. I don't really know what I should be doing in those games. So maybe if I played one, I would learn it better. To be perfectly honest, the last game I played against a Ghostface, I thought he was a totem and I tried to cleanse him. So that's the level that we're at right now. So yeah, that's how it's been going out there. Overall, the very best part about playing Killer is there's no player elimination. So you get to play the whole game, every game, which is a big plus, because some of those Survivor games you're having a lot of fun and then all of a sudden, you know, you get 2 hooks really fast and you're out of there. So, you know, playing as Killer, you get to see it out to the end, which I really like a lot. I probably want to start branching out and trying some new killers soon, because, you know, they have so many different powers and I think that'd be really fun. So if you have any recommendations on which killers you like playing and maybe which ones aren't so complicated for a new player, I'd love to hear them. And otherwise, hopefully I'll see you out there soon. Don't look me too hard out there. And thanks for watching.